It's 6:34. We'll call the meeting to order. We have an agenda for the park board meeting?
Yep, it was in your packet.
It was, okay. Page 2. Page 1. Steve, do you want to handle this?
We're here with Kris Spaulding, who was looking at contracting for landscaping for the park. He is also
Kris? Please do.
Hi, everyone. Kris Spaulding. For years. I've been here since 20 now. I approached the job helping out with it and making Surrey look pretty. I approached the park board and I'm currently working with them to figure out a bid to do, hopefully do all of Surrey's park board. Basically just everything that has to do with making Surrey look pretty. All the grass, all the cutting. And they mentioned it might be a good idea to approach city council. I don't know what you guys have as far as work that needs to be done, as far as, any cutting of the grass or maintaining flower beds, anything like that. But I would be interested in talking with you about that if there's a different avenue or something that you were looking at differently possibly this year.
Did you write up some kind of proposal or a contract
It's
agreement?
kind of a unique situation, Jenny, because there's a lot of work that's going to be done. I've started my own company, and because of that, I can kind of work with the park board, doing, Steve had mentioned some painting. That's not generally a landscaper's job, but that's something that I would be willing to do, in my scope of, expertise, I guess.
Are you licensed to weed spray?
I am not, but talking to the mayor, he said that I would be able to, spray by proxy through him until I got my own license.
You could, yep. Within a mile, as long as Chuck's in town or one of the public works is in town.
Yep. That would be something that I'm, in the future, in the very near future, getting licensed, train myself to be able to do that. So I don't have to do it through anybody else.
Okay. I can say this. I mowed 2 Fridays ago before graduation and Memorial Day weekend. And Silver Springs, I don't know who is supposed to do what or who, like where the park line ends in the city. I can say this. The agreement that was made back in the day with Silver Springs, I don't think should have been, like there's trees in the boulevard that need to be trimmed up. I mean, I still have scratches all over the place from running into them. I think that's like a full-time job cleaning out those flower beds all along the rock wall. It is insane. It is insane. Or else we take those trees down in the boulevard because it is a mess.
Right. And that's kind of why I approached the mayor to see if there's anything that I could do to, take on that responsibility to make it look pretty. We have a beautiful town. We need a little bit TLC. We need someone that's going to care about actually cutting the grass and make it look nice.
You're planning on keeping the current park employees for mowing this year?
We still are talking about it, but they've already been hired, so I would assume more than likely. We haven't made a decision on that. Obviously, that's not my decision. We just had one park board meeting. I have a bid for them that hopefully I'll be able to talk with them about later or set up a different meeting. I guess I don't know how that process works, but I have information for them now. They just kind of gave me an idea of the hours that were spent. And 2019 was the year that I got of just the man hours that were, spent for cleaning up Surrey. And I gave them a bid that I could do based off of that. So as far as any work that maybe the city has done, they talked about mowing ditches. I mean, as a starting up company, I don't have a big tractor or a batwing mower. There are things that I would be able to do, things that maybe I would be willing to discuss doing using, Surrey's equipment, if that's a possibility. Again, I'm just kind of here finding out if there's anything that you guys are wanting to change as far as what's being done. Jenny, you mentioned all the stuff out in Silver Springs, and that's why I'm here. And I can make that look better. Property values go up. Surrey residents are happy. Everything looks green. That's what I'm here for. That's what I would like to be able to do. Steve also mentioned, minor painting. I framed houses for a long time before I was in the military, so other than building a brand new building for you, outbuildings, doors, hanging doors, windows, small buildings, that would be something that I would be able to take on. Painting, making sure the equipment is, kind of kept. That would be, I guess, my goal.
Does the park already plan on hiring you guys or you, I mean?
There hasn't been a decision.
There hasn't been a big deal. But one of the things we run into all the time is how much free time that my brother is getting, like especially with the city. I know sometimes AJ and John have to be practicing or whatever else, if they don't have to worry about landscaping. I know that you guys generally hire seasonal employees. Aren't we kind of fast track season with the heat? Who did the Silver Spring stuff last year? Did the city or the park?
Park, I think the park.
Mow it up there? The park did it before or what?
I know in 2019, the park did it, the park employees, but I think, AJ, you said that last year you guys did Silver Springs, correct? And, okay.
We've also done between the cemetery and the little rock wall, but a park lot. How that ever ended up in public works.
I would just like to see that agreement somewhere, but Gary, how do you feel about all this? Because you're already hired for the park, is that right? Mhm. Right, right.
But doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
well, don't we have a lot less mowing and maintenance to do than parks do? The reason that you do too, like, on the wall, everything is also property.
It's come up a number of times. I don't know if there was ever a decision made on it.
Yeah, there was a potential 99-year lease that got
For $1 or something.
turned down.
The Pony Park, yeah.
I know this has nothing to do with it, but we should have had kind of this discussion probably back in the end.
Mm-hmm.
We normally would have probably mowed if it would have rained about 3 or 4 times.
Is there any kind of an agreement drawn up now between us and the park? Or
Yes.
what does that say? Do they give us so much and we do so much, or?
Basically about, I'm gonna say 5 years ago, we gave the mowing back to the park.
Okay.
Because before that,
It was,
we did do it. The city did do it.
so now they have all the park stuff.
But not really, right? Because we didn't sign an agreement, still city property. Right.
Well, there's an
So we should be
agreement,
on-
but there's not, the city still owns the property. And Steve, if you were, correct me if I'm wrong, the agreement doesn't talk about the maintenance, does it? I can go pull it if you guys want.
What was the agreement? I remember like a $3 deal for so many. A very long extended time, but then you guys rejected that, right?
Oh,
Yeah, the offer from the city council was to rent us the land for $1 and we would take care of it. But that's preposterous. Nobody wanted that. Doesn't make any sense.
You want me to go pull that agreement? I can.
Well, you guys know it.
Yeah, basically, the city council proposed that we pay the city council so we could take care of it.
Will make sense.
I guess I just had a question, and I'm not against it or anything. I think it sounds like a great idea for everybody involved, but what about insurance wise for if you were to use the city's equipment?
That's, excuse me, that's a question that, yeah, I'm not sure. As a company, you know, I've got insurance through the
Right,
company.
but I'm
As far
just
as using
asking
city equipment, yeah,
For the protection of the city.
sure.
I mean, I could see if you were an employee, then you would probably be covered. I just don't know about a contractor per se, if that's how you word it.
If it was like, again, running, you know, an actual, like a tractor or your equipment, I have all the equipment, other than if you need a
The
big
big
batwing mower, you know, I
Mhm.
don't have something like that.
Mhm.
Again, I would be willing to use the equipment, but that would be, I
Right,
guess, a
and
different
I understand
topic.
that, yeah.
But didn't last year we paid somebody from command labor, wasn't it like $17 an hour? They worked all summer.
15, I thought it was.
Cause it basically put them full time.
Well, I guess as a owner of your own business, you would have your own insurance.
Right.
As well.
Well, and that's kind of why I approached the city. I thought that it would be a lot easier for us. I mean, I'm a Surrey resident too. You know, hiring somebody new every year, other than, you know, the existing people, it's a pain. You're not sure the people you're going to get. They don't care if they come wreck equipment. There's a lot of liability that as a city is going to have every time we have to hire seasonal employees. And if I can do it, it's a headache that you don't have to worry about. You don't have to hire other people. Again, depending on the bid, I can hire other people if the workload is too much for me. Other than that, you won't have anything to worry about. And I've already talked to the park board. I would segregate everything so you would know exactly where the money that you're spending is going, you know, as far as, okay, I've done, you know, 25 hours in Silver Springs or 8 hours down here, and exactly what's being done, you know, edging, weeding, mowing, trimming of the trees. Brent, you mentioned, you know, mowing. Obviously, we haven't got a whole lot of water. There's not going to be a whole lot of mowing, but there's a lot of other stuff to do.
Oh, yeah.
We've got miles of curbing that's never been edged, just weed eating. You know, if we can't hit it with a mower, it's not being done right now. No offense to anybody that's doing any of the work right now. Obviously, it's just like you said. You know, we've only got so much time in a day, and I would like to be able to help take care of all of that. You know, within the city's budget.
Are you thinking just charging us like on a per hour thing and you just kind of,
I tried.
Wing it?
I went back and forth, and you know, I've been kind of discussing again a new company owner, and I would rather, man, if I could just work for city and not have to go anywhere else, that would be great for me. But I still have to be able to, you know, pay bills and what have you. So it's an ongoing bid. Hourly, it would be very difficult to do something like that. What I came up with is probably a monthly bid. Or even down to weekly, you know, maybe monthly through the summer. The numbers that I got were from May to October, you know, so 6 months of, we definitely know there's going to be mowing and things happening during that time. And then I was hoping to, after that work is done, possibly go into the winter if there's anything else that needs to be done. You know, maybe instead of a monthly basis, because we don't need to mow in November, December, you know, maybe cut it back down to a week, or just keep working, keep doing what we can within the Surrey's budget. That's kind of what I was hoping for and what I was trying to do.
we kind of always keep going back and forth on this, what's city property, park property. We don't want to give them anything and it goes back and forth and we're stuck with a whole bunch of stuff to mow and spend the money on, so. What do you think, AJ?
I know this summer, I have just totally, completely swamped with the sidewalk project, the supposed paving project, in Silver Springs. You know, I'm just barely maintaining right now, just being known. And along with this sidewalk project, we're gonna have 3 times the amount of sidewalk that we get swept off every snowstorm. So instead of doing a part-time seasonal, I've been trying to figure out and rack my brain what I'm gonna do in winter to plow snow on all the streets, plus get the sidewalk cleared out, and then plow still the sidewalk, and you have to we got 3 times more sidewalk.
And that would be something that, I have a skid steer loader and the equipment to do that. So
But see,
that,
it kind of bounced between this spot of, it didn't snow much last year, so we didn't have that issue so much. But if we're gonna hire, it doesn't make sense for you to hire another public works person than hire a contractor. You know what I mean? It kind of puts it, then we can just have the contractor do all of it, so it's kind of like, kind of screw yourself out of a job in a way.
But it's nice to have somebody.
You need the help when you need it, right? But you know what I mean? That's been discussed times before, having a contractor come in and do all the stuff. I've never been for it.
what kind of things would make you not want to, Brent?
Have a contractor do it.
Yeah, just because of what you just said.
I was kind of looking at, hoping that we had about 2 high school kids from town that would, at $12 an hour, would go and AJ or John could direct them, go take care of this today or this week. And it got done and was kind of supported our town and supported our kids. Or like Gary, someone's retired. The contractor's gonna cost a lot of money, even if you give us a cheap bid.
No,
But
I
there's a
understand that.
lot of stuff that needs to be fixed. There's
Sure.
a lot of it that's a mess.
Sure.
So it's nothing against you at all.
No, I
guess
understand.
I was just looking. I guess I'd like to see numbers,
Well,
you know.
do you mind if I tell them what? We haven't even came up to it. So what I was told, or the information I was given, was we were paying, somebody about $12 an hour, 2 people, $12 an hour, to mow through the summer. And then we had somebody, I don't know the name, Keith, a supervisor basically, in that $18, $19 an hour. As a company owner, I would never hire someone for less than $15 an hour. So the bid that I proposed was a supervisor at 20 and 2 part-time employees at $15 an hour, which comes up to $50 an hour. 25 hours a week comes out to $12.50 a week, which is actually 200 more than what we paid in 2019. The total is more after the 6 months, but in 2019, the numbers that we got were 12,400 that we paid for wages. And if we average everything out with the numbers that I just said, he gets a $3 raise, or that's
And I threw $12 out just for no.
no, and that's actually a pretty accurate number. That's kind of what they had. That's kind of what I was told, 12, $13 an hour. And that was one of the main reasons why I approached truck. I know that it's difficult to get somebody that's going to care enough. I understand a lot of people. It's like, okay, well, we're just cutting the grass. And I would never take on the job if you were like, hey, Kris, drop the mower deck to the ground, and so we don't have to cut it in 10 days. I don't want to do that. I want to make Surrey pretty. I'm a Surrey resident. We've got a beautiful area here, and we just need some
No, and
TLC.
I totally agree.
I know in 2019 that included T-ball and maintaining the fields as well.
Yep.
Is that
Yep, absolutely.
included?
Yep, so that would.
I know last year they didn't have
edging and,
T-ball, so that-
dragging and, maintaining that.
And it was how much again?
12,400 and some change.
And that was just.
793 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for the park board.
I guess myself right now, the part about winter, I'm not interested in. If we have another easy winter, I think. If they come to us and say we need to hire someone else, then so be it.
Sure.
Summertime would be.
No, and I didn't come here today expecting any kind of decision. I just, I approached truck and, I got to talk to the park board, and nothing is set in stone. I'm hoping that, we can make it work, but this is my, approach to you, and I'm, I guess willing to discuss anything even in the future.
I definitely think it needs to be cleaned up a lot better than, it has been, but there's only so much these guys can do too.
Sure. No, and I understand that.
But that's still, we're right back to that. The park is supposed to take care of all the parks, but it's actually city property. So really, we're responsible, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't pay to have, you know what I mean? You guys pay to go do the parks when it's on city property. It's been a battle since I've been on the council. I don't understand. Because here we are, basically, we got a lot more we're obligated to do as far as maintaining than we probably should.
I know there are a lot of cities though that it is in the city's name, but it's the parks. So this is not uncommon
No.
at all.
But
To
it's
have
not
it like
their
this?
paperwork, 'cause I mean, why would they want to pay?
They just
There
put it
is an
on-
agreement though.
Yeah, they put it on the taxes. Either they get paid for it or we get paid for it as a city. As far as their tax part of it.
Here's what I think, and that's just because I've been up to Silver Springs and it was not good. I would have no problem with you taking, that's just my opinion, obviously. Taking care of that whole rock wall and anything. I mean, I think it needs to be an adult who is very careful with and knows the different plants and trees and stuff and knows how to trim them up. Like I said, it's real bad.
See, I've
No,
done a
it will
lot-
take
I mean,
somebody to crawl around on their hands and knees in rocks and pull all those weeds by hand. And the weed whacking, I mean, that, like you said, it's a quarter mile long of
Right.
just weed whacking.
Right, in just that area, sure.
Hmm.
You know, and the tree rows coming back to the south, and then I don't know what the plan is, I guess, for the north side of the road, but again, those are all, I mean, you've seen the work that, you know, I did on the tree line.
Oh,
over there.
absolutely.
Colin. Colin did, yep. Colin.
Just keep calling him that. That's funny.
He's answering, yeah, yeah.
Maybe there's two.
He is.
I think, like we said before, we just need direction. And even if it doesn't rain all summer, there's plenty of work to do, limbing trees and cleaning up around, and especially Silver Springs. And then I've had AJ go in and fill some holes in up at the Pony Park. So that some of that area was left open. There's some pretty good ruts and stuff in there yet.
And
I
our
think.
baseball diamonds, they could use a string line, you know, nice and cut, and we've got kind of grass all over the place. And again, like edging, I mean, you could do a great job cutting a lawn, but if the edging looks bad, it all kind of looks bad still. Those are,
I agree with Gary, though. The weeds are what are completely out of control. So here would be my suggestion, and nobody can listen. You don't have to listen to it, but this is just be firsthand what I saw. If I would totally let you do the Silver Springs area and the spraying for the city, but then I also agree with Brent that we need to get a part-time high school kid in here as well to do so like the stuff that I mowed that day took me 4 hours. And that was including and I'm not saying I did the best job possible. I mean, I just did, like Gary said, the front stuff to make stuff look good, but 4 hours. So if we have a high school kid in here part-time that can help these two on their projects, like be the runner, and then have you do so basically I'm talking about a happy medium type
Sure.
deal.
no, that would be great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
That Silver Springs wall is going to take so much time.
Well, and I honestly think that it has to be somebody that really has the heart for it and that's going to do the work. You know, it's easy to have a child or a high school student do the simple stuff, but the detail that I think he wants to see
Have you
is
seen
a
his
lot
yard?
different.
His yard looks
No.
like a
Manicured.
carpet about that thick. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just think, especially in Silver Springs with all the work over there, I just think the details. the
Well, like
answer.
the tree row that's, the walking path and that tree row, it used to be all overgrown. And I actually had approached Jenny, I don't know, 2 years ago. And, I was wanting to buy the property because I've got 2 properties right there on the tree line and I wanted to buy it all the way up to the walking path. I think we had discussed it
Yeah.
before and I don't know what exactly happened with it, but
Yeah.
I was happy to just be able to maintain it. It's behind my house. I wanted it to look nice. And now, I did the 2 properties that I own, the one to the north, and I asked my neighbor, he didn't care. I did his too. And then, so we've got now, I think there's 8 properties, 1,000 feet of, property that's all done and it looks beautiful. Like high school kids are out there taking pictures. Like I get to sit on my deck and watch like all the hard work pay off. Like everybody is enjoying it. And I really would like to be able to do that for the rest of Surrey. And again, I didn't,
How do we do that then? We split, we don't know how many hours you need for city, we don't know how many hours you need for park, kind of.
that's why
If there's a number here, it'd be easier, a little easier to go by.
And to know how many hours we actually spend mowing. I mean, when you have a part-time person, is it just constantly mowing in the summer? Is that basically all they do? And that's 40 hours a week?
No, God, no.
No. 20?
I used to come out of the
For the
office and
city?
get it done in like 1 8-hour day. That's not weed whacking. So 20, and that's when it rains.
See, if it doesn't rain, we still got
I
plenty
think
of work
Rebecca
for a
put in
year.
40 hours, close to
No,
40
not-
hours a week last year. But she was, I don't know, whatever she was doing with, she was crack sealing. She was
see,
doing
and I tried to
everything
get
that
some
the
of the
shop guys were
information I
doing
got, what
anyway.
the park did.
String trimming.
She was
and all
doing
that,
everything,
2019,
so-
and their numbers were 12,000.
We
Like I
need
said,
to
I
get
didn't
sprayed,
expect to come in today and get a decision, but
though. I mean, we could at
you know,
least
I
contract
broached
that
the
out.
subject and
That would free up a lot of time for them, I think.
Perfect. Okay.
Was that on, like on Brian's trees there?
I think we need to know what we spent last year on summer.
We'll get somebody over
I
there.
agree. It
Just
would,
so we have some numbers.
Everybody's talking.
And then come with an hour.
Okay, we'll check on.
I can do that once I know kind of what hours. And again, like you said, it's kind of hard to. Sure. Well, hey,
don't know,
everybody, I
AJ,
appreciate
the
your time.
water's not turned on?
Can we finish this guy up
Yeah,
before we?
we gotta get,
Let's wait.
Talking.
Okay, can we say that we are, that we would be open to a proposal to do the mowing at least for the parks right now? And with the possibility of doing it for the city also, on a separate contract? If Kris can come up with some numbers and
Just break it down. Say if you got 3 guys.
Sure.
and
I'm open to that.
I think everyone is on board with the idea of having you do it if we can just get some numbers together so that we can
Sure.
know where
I've
it's
got
going.
I've got a proposal for the park board. You know, I'd like to talk to them about. And again, it really kind of just depends on what you want done. Like I said, I would love to be able to do all the sidewalks in the winter, but I understand your point either.
We don't know how many hours the part-time people and AJ and John actually spend time mowing, so it's kind of a tough guess.
Right.
Do you know, and I'm sorry to keep going back to this, do you know anything about spraying right now? Like, you spray your own yard, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Like, I'd be willing to make a motion right now to get that taken care of, because it's absolutely horrible. Out of control. What's that?
Does it need to be weed whipped and knocked down, then sprayed, or what?
Oh,
Silver Springs, yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on that wall.
I'm talking about citywide weed spraying.
Yeah, like our sign when you come into the city is overgrown. Just, it's a mess. But you had a motion, Jenny?
I mean, just if he wanted to, but I can wait for the proposal. I just, like, if there's a non-windy day this week, I would love to have somebody out there doing it.
Sure.
Yeah, if you can get us a proposal and soon as possible, if Anita can get you the hours that was
Yeah,
spent
if I
on.
can, again, I don't know what I can ask for. It's just, you know, kind of new to me, a unique situation. So I would
right,
love to get,
so, and if I get hours, am I doing it for the seasonal time that the
Yeah,
gal worked last year?
what you paid John, command labor.
What we paid command labor?
Yeah.
And she was, what was she all doing for the city last year, AJ?
She first started with helping us crack seal. And then because we needed part-time help, we just kept her on to help mow and weed. And she was working 28 to 32 hours a week.
So it's on.
Usually it's a little more, but,
Okay,
you know, I tried to limit her as close to 30 as I could. That way she was only part-time and not full-time.
Sure.
well, if you can get together something for us and, I don't know if we have to have a special meeting or something to,
20 times.
because
That's
it's
the
something that
recommended.
needs to be started yesterday.
Sure.
Um,
No, I will get with Anita if I'm able to get that information, and I will get something to you as soon as possible.
Okay, thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
Chris.
Thank you for your time.
Before you go, what day do you need those numbers to make a proposal?
As soon as possible. I understand that you're very busy. If you could get it this week, that would be great. I know that you're pretty busy, so.
You just gotta come in.
Okay, thank you for your
All right.
time, everybody.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
That is the park board meeting. We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn at 7:05, 4. And now we'll start the city council meeting. Okay, we call the meeting to order at 7:05. Let's rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item is the minutes for the May regular and special meeting. Has everyone had a chance to read through them? Are there any corrections or additions to the meeting? To the minutes, I mean, not the meeting. Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
We have a motion to approve the minutes of the May meetings. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second by Councilman Ganser. Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next item is the financial reports, payroll, and new bills to pay. Anita? Does anyone have any questions for Anita on those?
I printed out a quarterly report too, thinking, you guys could see, I guess, to date up in your quarter, where you're at. Balances versus year end. I don't know how much you look at the reports. Give you the May payroll totals. Amounts paid to the IRS, insurance, all that for benefits. And then the claims to be reported. And I know, Steve, you had mentioned you wanted a total. That's why I threw them right on the agenda. Is that
Yep.
kind of how you were looking? See it? You had also requested that the bill from Dakota Farm be included. Because for the dump truck repair, because it was in quite substantially higher than what you guys had projected on spending. So just everybody makes a notate to look at that's the due amount. And then I got one here tonight, actually, like 5 minutes before the previous meeting, from Kelsey's Bobcat for the hydrant repair on the street over here. That is an additional $5,271.89 on top of that quoted amount that's in your, on your agenda.
Knock off the 54.
Yep. Does that make sense?
What was that again? 5,001?
5,271.89. And then, along with that, this is just a summary I'm gonna pass out. Extra claims also needing approval. 4,647.57 is the top number. And then the other checks listed below were checks that had to get cut throughout the month for normal bills, electricity, one calls, that kind of jazz.
So on the plow truck, how come this thing keeps going to the shop? Seems like every meeting we have. Go on.
Initially, it went in for the transmission leak. Since we was out of plowing season. And when it was in the shop, they found an engine leak on the front end of it. And they were fixing the transmission leak, you noticed that the motor bushings, motor mouth bushings, that they were shot. So we did a bunch of extra work to it without consulting us first to see if we wanted to do it. And then when they finally called and said that it was done, we went and picked it up. The truck was better than the doornail, we had to jump it. So they didn't know what it was, we brought it back here and just happened to go out with the bolt heater the next day and it was better than all get out again. So we jumped it again, took it back to them, explained to them that all winter when we start the truck, it started just fine. Why when it goes to the shop and they find a bunch of other stuff, they found some sensors that were going bad and stuff that they repaired. Why all of a sudden the truck won't hold battery charge overnight? So they had it for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, weeks, something like that. And then they ended up putting the battery disc back on. And my understanding is they didn't charge us for that because it was something that they did and find out what it was.
How bad was that leak from the transmission? Yeah, it was still there or just different?
Overnight, it would be about like that on the shop floor. You wouldn't really notice it being parked outside because driven in gravel, but as soon as you
Right.
park it in the shop, you can notice it.
Hope that's done costing money.
Do we have any further questions on the financial reports?
So you're looking to approve that plus this 4197.39 plus the.
Plus the 17,
Pardon me?
plus the 1,700.
And the 5,400 for Kelsey.
Oh, and Kelsey.
5271.89.
So 4,647.57 plus Kelsey's 5271.89 plus 59,343.48.
What's 59,343?
That was the total list of claims that are prepared in the office right now to be cut checks for. So those $3 amounts added together.
Dump truck bill you already approved, I think it was 2,200, 2,400 last month. So that was already half approved.
Yep, they shouldn't have done all that work without calling you first. We don't take our stuff there anymore.
They were nice and down in the take.
Does anyone have any further questions? We have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
We have a motion by Mr. Fenwald. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second by Brent. Voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Next on the agenda is the police report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I have 3 items on the agenda for tonight. The first one is today, Officer Hill started with the police department today, so I kept him good and busy for day number 1, getting him acquainted with everything in the office here in the police department. The second thing I have on my list is I know in the past, there's been talk about upgrading the cameras on City Hall for security reasons. So John left this on my desk. Apparently we got a quote from Surrey River Telephone on it. And the total bid from Surrey River Telephone is $8,439.57. It includes the recorder, 12 dome cameras, and surveillance labor. Out of that, the labor part is $25.74. The materials is $58.65.57. I know it's been something that's been talked about in the past, so I just wanted to make the council aware that a bid did come in from Surrey River Telephone. They said if you wish to lease it, it would be $2,574 down, then $245.08 a month for 3 years. This would include a maintenance contract that includes free parts and labor if anything fails. Let me know if you have any questions. That's Kris. So that's something you can consider that they did give a bid on.
It's $257 a month and the payment for 3 years.
3 years, $25.74 down, which would be the labor, and they want $245.08 a month for 3 years to put the system in, and that would include all the maintenance, free parts, and labor if anything fails. And I know the past system was put in a used system from the school. We did try to zoom in the past on a couple license plates out here on when something happened out here, but those cameras are so old that you couldn't even zoom in to get a license plate on them or clearly see what the vehicle was. It's not something that's immediate, but food for thought for the council to discuss. And the last thing I have on the agenda for this evening, I'd like to promote Officer Anna Olson to Sergeant, effective today. She currently is getting $24.48 an hour. She started here in Surrey on January 26th of 20. She's almost got a year and a half in. It'll be 2 years on January 26th. As you're aware, Sergeant Kircher went to the Minot Police Department. So Anna Olson has been filling the void. She's going to Field Training Officer School in June in West Fargo, which Connor was our Field Training Officer. She's also agreed to go in Minot here August 3rd through the 6th to National Child Safety Instructor. Surrey's big enough, I feel, that we should have an instructor here for people to bring their car seats up to be checked and have people come up here to make sure they're safe and secure with our own police department. So that's an additional duty that she was willing to take on. And lastly, she is our AED instructor for the AED machines in the cars, so she does train us on those. So for those reasons, I'm losing Sergeant Kircher, and I'll be counting on her a lot for assuming these extra duties. We were paying Sergeant Kircher $28 and something an hour, but he was here over 5 years. I would suggest a fair starting salary for the remainder of the year would be $26.50 would be my suggestion. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Do we have any questions for Kevin?
Have we brought it up in the past about the cameras? Yes, I don't remember.
I know we've talked about it, but
I don't think there's ever a price out there.
Yeah, there's just been general discussion and they asked to get a bid just to see what they would be and bring to the council. So that's what we did at this point.
The $8,000 would be no maintenance on it. Only if you lease them, right?
Yeah, I'm just going by what he's got. This was
I'm
on
just
my
curious.
desk. I mean, we can ask him more questions and get into detail. I just wanted to bring it to your attention since it had been discussed in the past and we got a bid just to give you an idea of what a person would look at.
What did you want to put Anna at? 2651?
26.50 and she's currently making 24.48 an hour. And Connor as sergeant was at $28 and some odd cents. And she has been doing a very good job. She's never late for work. She doesn't take hardly any vacation time, hasn't used sick time, so she's been doing very well.
I
I'll make a
completely agree that
motion.
she deserves a promotion. I'm just wondering, since we did not budget for this, I just did some quick math and at $26 an hour,
Actually, we do have it in the budget.
Okay.
Because we have Connor's money
Yeah.
in there at the
Oh.
$28 for the whole year, so the money is there and it would leave money over besides. So it's coming out of the same budget money as his was budgeted for at $28. So we do have the money in the budget.
I make a motion to promote Anna to sergeant with a raise of up to 26.50 an hour, starting date.
I'll second that.
We have a motion on the floor to promote Anna, Officer Olson, Sergeant Olson, to sergeant at the rate of 26.50, second by Councilman Ganser. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none. Brent,
Aye, yes.
Twyla,
Yes.
Steve?
Yep.
And Kenny?
yes?
Video cameras, is that something that just for information right
Just for
now?
informational purposes, you can discuss it for in the future, even into next year's budget if you want to look at it. I just want to finally bring a figure to the council so they were aware of it.
Okay, thank you.
It should be noted for in the budget.
Could we get a copy of that bid, please?
You sure can. I'll
Thank
make
you.
sure each of you have a copy.
Thank you.
I'll go do that right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Attorney, first reading of Chapter 2, revisions of ordinance.
If the council doesn't mind, I'd like to cover 2 and 3 at the same time. So one of my duties as city attorney is to look through the ordinance and see where we can consolidate things or change things to make them more effective. I basically went through chapters 2 and 3 and consolidated some language and went through essentially what the council is doing now and sort of just cleaned up the ordinances so they reflect what we're currently doing to make it absolutely clear what it is.
Is your microphone on, Andrew?
It is.
Okay. Just take a second. Thank you.
I went through it and I have no problem with chapter 2 at all. I didn't have any corrections. Chapter 3, at the bottom of that page, 3.0102. 2 election wards in the city are established as follows. First ward, that portion of the city, and then technically south of County Road 12 and should be crossed out. And then again, second ward, that portion of the city south of County Road 12 and should be crossed out.
Okay.
Pleasant just divides it right up. And another thing I'd like to say about that is that I looked at the Ward County GIS map, and this is not even close to equal. Like I would say it's 200 homes in Ward 1 to 400 homes in Ward 2. So that's probably something we would want to possibly even think about in the next 30 days or before we do the second reading?
I do want to say that the word "and" that you highlighted in there, that's how it currently appears. So it's not something I added, but we can certainly remove it.
No, it's not the and part, it's the south of County Road 12.
Which section is that?
I see, I see.
So basically Pleasant Avenue splits it right down the middle.
Right,
Here, Anita.
because before it, okay, I understand.
But yep, there was 3 before and County Road 12 was that divider.
I understand. So the divider is just Pleasant Avenue.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, understand.
Would it be wise to look into splitting 3 wards instead of 2 while we've got the papers in front of us? Or do we want to wait till the second reading?
That's something I want to get into in my third point under my little billet here where it says on the agenda here, proposed committee structure and flow chart. So kind of what I'm hoping to do is, and what I would recommend, because we are talking about some of the fundamental functions here of the council, is to refer this to some kind of committee and let the public actually get a chance to read it and comment on it, and then bring it back for a second reading with the public having already reviewed it and commented on it.
100%. I agree.
Makes sense.
And then, sorry, on the next page, the special meetings, the 3.0202, I would love for that to just follow the North Dakota Century Code 400911. Just because that notice of special meetings 24 hours, sometimes, like, let's say we have, the Public Works have some sort of emergency or the police department, I feel like we should not have to have 24 hours prior notice, and the North Dakota Century Code just does say that special meetings may be called at any time by the president or any 2 members of the council to consider matters mentioned in the call of such meeting. Written notice of any special meeting shall be given to each member of the board.
So you want to,
Just minus that 24-hour part.
You guys want to minus that?
Well, I've been notified at 2:30 and 3:30 in the afternoon to come to a meeting, so.
There's, in the
Right, so
Century Code,
before-
there's no 24-hour.
Right, so
requirement.
before the notice provision for special meetings says, if everybody shows up, you don't need the notice, because right, so no notice of the meeting is required. If you waive notice, if you show up to the meeting, that's a waiver. But I can write it however the council wants me to write it.
I agree with Jenny on the Century Code. There is no Century Code that says 24 hours for special meetings.
And that's 40-09-11.
That's for a city commission. I don't know if it's I'm sure it's a little different for the council. So
I'll
you
find
might
it.
have, yeah,
I'll find it.
they're probably better at that.
Any further discussion?
On the next page, I just had additions to the agenda. If you can add that somewhere in there. I know it says approval of agenda. So I don't know if that would be a good spot to put. Because I know at a regular meeting, we can add stuff right up until it's approved.
This would change that.
Oh, gotcha.
And that's based on, it was either the last meeting or the meeting before where we added something to the agenda and the council voted on it.
What about removal of items from the agenda? Can you do that too?
Right, once the agenda is approved at the beginning of a regular meeting, if you want to remove something, you would need a vote to remove it.
so on this particular one, you're thinking we cannot add anything?
If this is what it's voted as. So at the beginning of each meeting, you would have, just like you approved the minutes of the last meeting, you would approve the agenda of the current meeting.
Is that the first item of business?
Roll call, pledge, take care of any absences, approve the agenda. So it would be the first, I would consider it substantive thing. because you got to figure out what you're going to talk about before you talk about it.
Well, I think we should have additional stuff in there,
Like,
Such as,
such as additions to the agenda, whatever somebody may want to discuss, because everybody's sitting here.
and yeah, you can add that. I assume if it's something new, it would go under new business.
Or wherever, yeah, wherever you would stick it.
Right.
Still a change to the agenda. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
sorry, on the next page, where it talks, number 8, where it talks about abstaining. I mean, I would just love some kind of wordage in there that said, may not abstain without stating the reason or the gain or loss to the issue being voted on. Something like that. Obviously, I'm not an attorney. And then number 17, I would like almost completely removed. And 18.
So I've got 3.0208 as drafted. You want to add something about a reason for abstaining or sorry, can you say that again?
Yep, may not abstain without stating the gain or loss to issue on being voted on.
It seems like that happens once in a while, they're just kind of, there should be kind of, if it isn't a conflict, then there should be a reason why it's stated, right?
And then
And-
if we're not in agreement to remove 17 and 18 completely, I would like 18K and L to be removed. The A through J does follow the North Dakota Century Code. It's K and L that are not in there. So I feel that we are trying to supersede the Century Code. That's all I have.
Yeah, and on those, I just want to say, I just wrote them as they were currently
Yep.
in force. So at the end on K and L where you see the addition, I changed the ordinance number to match the other
Mhm.
proposal.
You'd like them both removed?
I guess the only reason why I would say is to leave them in for now, there was a quorum of 7 of us that voted these in not more than a year ago, and now we're just voting them out with a vote of 3.
So what is, I don't know if that matters, but. So
The K and L thing, like I said, I don't quite understand. I mean, there has to be some sort of, and I don't know what that is.
who asked, were you asked by a certain person when you write that ordinance? I mean, that's strange to, it kind of overrides the century code.
I don't recall.
I think the council just had him try to figure it out.
I think they should be removed. Follow the century code.
And the rest of it
They were
does.
written for a reason, though.
As I said, I think this is something the public should weigh in on. So I do think it should be sent to a committee and noticed
Mhm.
for public comment.
Sure.
So they can weigh in.
And I agree with Steve. We had 6 people on the council, not 4, like we have right now. So I'm not in favor of removing them at this time.
Yeah, there used to be different people on the council too.
I have no problem referring that to a committee.
The whole thing? The revisions?
I mean, I would like them to hear the
whole
revisions that I
ordinance or the whole
recommended.
chapter,
The
I
whole
guess.
revisions, yep.
It's just a gotcha, that's all it is.
The other thing is we currently have a standing ordinance committee. My recollection is that the members of the committee are the former city administrator and I'm completely blanking on the name of the other person. It may have been Tara Knapp.
So do we need to add to it or redo that committee or what? Because it's not filled properly apparently.
It's not a committee that's set in the ordinances, so I believe its members serve at the pleasure of the mayor, so the mayor can add or remove members.
So we could, we can appoint a committee to discuss this
Yes,
Yes.
you can. right?
sometime. Do we want to approve these, chapter 3 on the first reading with the, there's 2 and
Chapter
3, yeah,
2 and 3.
with the changes, and appoint a committee to discuss the changes?
I believe Ms. Walsh had something she'd like to ask.
I'm sorry?
Ms. Walsh had something?
I was just wondering what J and K are. You're talking about stuff that didn't show up in the record that I requested for the packet. So we don't even know what you're talking about.
You should have got it, did you not?
And that's what the attorney's talking about, is referring it to a committee where there is public input allowed.
Sorry, Carla.
Right, so
It's
Excuse me.
discipline and removal of council members.
AJ, can you turn that air conditioner off?
it's the censure and expulsion parts where they take effect if someone is censured or expelled a certain number of times.
We have a motion to approve.
So all the changes are gonna be in here except for K and L?
No, this is just to approve it on first
This
reading
is the first
and
reading
then
of
to
it.
give it to the committee,
It'll be
ordinance
Be a-
committee.
approved, and then it'll be gone over by a special committee and then brought back to the council for vote
For a second reading.
at the next meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve it on first reading and send it to the committee.
We have a motion to approve the revisions in chapter 2 and 3 by Councilman Ganser, with the stipulation that the changes be included and that we appoint a committee to go over the changes and see if anything needs to be done. Second? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilman Johns.
Can I have a little quick discussion on K and L instead of leaving it as is? Yeah, I guess I kind of tend to agree as far as this, yeah, if you did whatever you did twice in a 6-month period, you're automatically gone. That probably isn't what we need to do at times. But I guess I would like to leave something in there where if you do something to that effect twice in a 6-month period, at least the council maybe as a whole can do something. I mean, an automatic thing, yeah, I get that. I mean, it probably isn't what it should be, but
Actually, my mom is going to the hospital.
Just leave it. We'll clean it up, Twyla. Go.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this stuff gets put in here more out of a trying to get somebody more than it is, like politically more than it is, I mean, it kind of only happens one way. There's different people that could be censured for other things that just doesn't get brought up because
No, but I think the point the attorney has is on the next page or the next thing he's going to go over is that for the sake of time, we can approve the first reading. Anything that we have questions on gets referred to a committee. They report back to us. They get the public hearing or the public input, I should say, and then they bring it back to us, their recommendations, and then we can vote from that. It just takes public comment out of our meetings to shorten our time. So I think it's a fantastic idea.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Voice vote, all in favor?
What are we doing with K and L, I guess? Is leaving as is?
I think the motion was that everything stays, everything that I brought up, everything just stays exactly
Stays
like
as
it was
is, and then a
written.
committee looks at it, Steve, and then,
I get that.
What do you want to change it to, Steve? Say that again? When Twyla was doing her stuff, I wasn't.
Yeah, I would change it to where you just automatically kicked off. That if something happens to that effect twice in a 6-month period, at that time, you go back to council and the council votes whether or not that individual is removed.
That's what it is now.
No, now you're automatically just gone.
So yeah, that would be a good thing to bring up for the committee. Like just change K and L or amend it.
Correct.
Well, it's only written for what, 1 or 2 people in here, so.
Okay, we have a motion. We have an amendment to the motion.
Well, technically, since Twyla had to leave, I think we should probably make our motions because she's not able to vote now.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of chapter 2 and 3 as provided by the city attorney without anything that I said.
We have a motion by Ms. Johns. We have a second.
I'll second it.
We have a second by Mr. Fenwald. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Fenwald?
Yep.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yep.
Motion passes. Proposed committee structure and flow chart.
do you guys want to set up a committee, or are you just gonna appoint these people?
There needs to be a motion for the mayor to appoint a committee for this.
I make a motion to have the mayor make the committee for these ordinances.
I'll second it.
We have a motion for the mayor to to appoint a committee for the committee structure and flow chart,
No, this is for
just for the.
chapters 2 and 3.
Just for 2 and 3. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Brent,
Yes.
Jenny,
Yes.
Steve?
Yep.
Motion passes. Now the proposed committee and flow chart.
Right, so essentially what this would do is it may set up an extra meeting every now and then, but the point of it is to save time during regular council meetings so the council can actually act. So public comment would occur in committee meetings specifically limited to a topic that would concern the public. So if there is a new ordinance, it would be referred to an ordinance committee. So the public could get a hold of it and come in and weigh in on it or on some bid or whatever else. So that way, especially if someone only wants to talk about one thing, they don't have to sit through a 2-hour council meeting to wait for their one thing. I realize it may make a couple of more meetings, but as I wrote in the memo, you all are paying me to basically sit here during council meetings, and those would get a lot shorter if it was just for a committee meeting here and there, and we saved about an hour, hour and a half on council meetings.
I do want to say thank you for writing this, number one. And number two, there's a couple things in here that are just like key things that we need to, like if you read through it, it completely makes sense. I found that most of the legwork and discussion is done in committees, and then the committees make a report to the council. Basically, the council is similar to a board of directors, and committees are like the hearing panels. Technically, our city council meetings should be an hour. We should be able to fly through and vote on each topic. Committees meet in between regular meetings for public comment and discussion. Is there another thing? Anyways, I just came up with a couple that I think need to be, so right now we have the park board and the planning and zoning board and a special assessment committee or board.
I don't know who that is.
I know Stacy Horn is on it and Scott Lights, I believe his name is, and then one more person. We haven't had to do a special assessment in a while, so I can't remember the other person.
I don't know. I think maybe Chuck Schmidt was on it at one time. I don't know if
Okay.
he still is.
But a couple more that I I've been doing some research on other city council cities, and a couple other ones that other people have are like sales tax committees. When you look at our cash report, right now, all of our sales tax money goes into capital equipment. I don't know how that was ever determined back in the day when the home rule was brought up, but I feel like that there's almost $300,000 in that sales tax fund. So I know that other cities like divvy that money out a little bit, like possibly to water and sewer, or to infrastructure, or to the park, or another committee is an economic development committee that can be levied for or given sales tax money. I do believe that we do in Surrey with the Silver Springs property sitting empty over there and a couple other commercial lots in town need to work on such things like that. And then a police and fire committee, public works committee, finance, legal, personnel committee. Those are just, I mean, some of the ones that there's actually a public recreation committee as well that could be under the park board. Like I know that a swimming pool in this town would be fantastic. That is something that the voters would have to vote on, creating that public recreation system. But then after that, if it did pass, I mean, you could levy up to 6 mils for something like that and save up some money and maintain a swimming pool.
Is there any, do we need to make a motion on approving this, or is it just FYI?
That's an FYI for the council. It was asked of me to be recirculated because I had provided it last summer, just as an FYI for the council to see if some process like this could work in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. The last thing I have is on August 4th this year at 10:30 in the morning, the Minot City Council is having a special meeting for the sole purpose of a presentation from an assistant attorney general from the attorney general's office to essentially educate the city of Minot about open meetings and open records training. I think this may be a great opportunity if any of the council would like to attend. If a quorum of the council decides to attend, it would need to be noticed as a special meeting. But in any case, I wanted to make sure that the council is aware of that. I will be attending.
That is a good idea. Engineers report, sir.
Evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Just a couple notes. The sidewalk project, Strata is going to be starting tomorrow with that hydrant on the corner. That's got to be moved back 5 feet to fit the sidewalk in. So I think that's where they're going to be starting. Otherwise, you could see I had did some staking along 5th. I don't know exactly when they're going to get going with the grading for the sidewalk, but they are going to start on that very west end of 5th and work their way towards Pleasant and then up Pleasant eventually. So, but I do know that Strata will be starting with the hydrant, I think tomorrow morning. The other thing, I don't know, did you get, I don't know, Anita, if I got that to you quick enough, that quote for material testing for the project?
MTS?
Yep, a material testing service, yep. And I got one from Braun Intertech too. And they were
Wasn't sure exactly what it was.
yeah, it's associated, it's the concrete testing for the DOT for that sidewalk project. And got 2 quotes in there. Unit prices were very close. I can pass them. Does everyone have one of those?
No,
or-
they don't,
Okay.
because I got the one from MTS.
Yep,
Was
yep.
there, if there was another one, I didn't get that from you.
Thank you.
And the other is Braun Interact.
Intertech, yep. And those are for the material testing associated with that sidewalk project. Both, I don't think you could go wrong with either of them. Their prices are, or unit prices are very close. The deal with this concrete testing is it is going to be dependent on the number of days that Strata is placing concrete. So both their estimates are kind of what the information we got from Strata. So, we've worked with MTS in the past. You can't go wrong with them. I think Braun's real good too. So, yes, I'd make a,
We need a motion on one of these?
yeah, to one of them to accept it for the project. So,
I'll make a motion to accept materials testing.
I'll second.
Material testing.
We have a motion on the floor to accept the bid from MTS for the material testing on the sidewalk project. Have a motion by Steve, a second. Who was the second?
Me.
Jenny.
Oh, Jenny, okay. Motion and second, any further discussion? My question is, why do we have to pay for material testing?
well, and typically, a lot of times that's something on the contractor's bid is the material testing, but on these transportation alternative project that falls on the owner in this case. So, and it's all done NDDOT specs and standards and specs. So, material testing concrete testing in this case is part of it. So.
Okay, we have motion on the floor and a second. Let's see, Steve, what do you vote? Jenny
Yes.
and Brent.
Yes.
And yeah, SRT was working on Pleasant. Did they get done with their?
Yep, they got the some of those fiber manholes moved to those locations. Those are good. There's still some overhead overhead poles that will be removed once people are cut in with fiber. I know they're swamped. So I'm gonna check in with their rep again. The other was Auditor. We wanted them to move a couple guy wires right on the two power poles on both sides of the railroad track there. That's really their only interference with the project, and I haven't heard anything from them. I got our ordinance here with Auditor regarding their poles and guy wires and things like that. And I'll check in with them again, but we may need the mayor or the council to push on them a little bit to get
When
those
is it
moved.
supposed
So,
to be done? Fall?
yep. So, but I will coordinate with them again. Like I said, they were starting on 5th. We got a little time before they'll get to Pleasant, but so.
That's gonna be awesome for school. Kids.
Other than that, the quiet, we've submitting that quiet zone application we were working on. That should be good. And that I don't really have anything else. So.
You will be waiting around for the Market Road report?
Yep.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
You bet.
Old business, Ron Burns walking path light completion. You have a document here, I think, from All Electric. And
Just saying that you completed the fixture replacement, and if you guys get a chance, go take a peek. Your bill is in the packet this time for a service that you approved.
okay, the Shelby Elder recording review, do we want to table that, being Twyla's not here?
Probably.
Sounds like it'd be reasonable.
Yeah, I would think so.
Radar traffic signs. We got a price on some of these flashing signs that tell you how fast you're going. I think we talked about checking on possibly getting some kind of a grant um, to pay for them. They're like $2,400 for the cheapest one. It just tells you how fast you're driving, and but I think we were gonna check and see about about grant money for that. Um, Financial reconciliation from Sound CPA. Anita, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, this kind of goes hand in hand with the audit that was done last week. The two next topics are kind of hand in hand. So your external auditors, Sound CPA, have done work and did research of how to put things together to reconcile. They're kind of at a place where they're wondering at this point what next to do, more so the idea of maybe putting a process together on how the components all tie in with each other. So they were looking for some action on or some clarity on that. Now, to go into further detail of the audit that was completed by Rath and Mayer last week, we passed our 2019 and 2020 audit. They gave a great insight for me to be able to have better organization, signatures of minutes, signatures of financial reports, with the idea that if there's discrepancy between the funds and the bank statement, that I would just continue to work at it to maybe come to a definite month where it could be off the same dollar amount and they would write it off. Their opinion was maybe a third party would not, you maybe not get the outcome you would like to see out of it with like all of the past balances being reconciled, but just have a base right now. In May, I worked diligently to try to get some sort of process down, and our credit card program actually did an upgrade. But with that, I think I have the batches. I was looking at the rec today, the bank statement. I have items matched up until they upgraded the program. I think if we continue to work at it, maybe eventually we'll get to a balancing point. Does that make sense? I mean, what do you?
What
You guys
what
have any
did
questions for me on these two topics?
what did
Because
Sound CPA? This is their document here.
Sound CPA is your contracted external auditor that you guys moved to approve to hire to reconcile back bank balances and to come to a solid basis to move forward with. And with their 10.5 hours that they put in so far, they haven't not even came to 1 month's worth of base, because it's a bigger project than maybe what most understand.
We approved them for 30 hours, right?
You approved them for $3,000. And they're saying a decision needs to be made right now by the mayor and the council as to whether the past bank balances should be undone or done, knowing what the update scope of the project would entail. Or, if the past recs aren't correct, it's going to be an ongoing issue in our audit, but we passed our audit. Their option would be to discuss maybe spending time on putting a procedure in place,
Putting a what?
like a procedure,
Going forward to get them.
yeah, so if you have somebody that comes in to say, okay, I have to take this and this and this and this to even look at a bank statement.
So we just forget about all the past inaccuracies and
I don't know.
go ahead, or I guess
They're saying that what they've already spent. We have
Okay,
$1,150 into it, into your approved $3,000.
and they're just saying it looks like it could take more than that.
Oh, it there takes, 10 and a half hours they've spent on trying to do one bank balance, and they haven't came to a bank balance base. You're gonna eat up your 3,000 and then some. Well, then how much more going back?
Well, I don't think we just,
I don't know that you forget about it either.
how do you forget about
You
it?
don't forget about it, but I think if you continued.
I think we get, I guess what
We
what I-
continue to work at it.
I think we should go up to the 30 hours and then have them give us an update on what's going on. You don't just basically not balance your checkbook for a year and a half as a business and then just go, hell,
Oh,
we'll
no,
start over."
absolutely.
But don't we think that we should have them pursue it up to the 30 hours and come back to us at what, an update of what they have? And
What do you want them to continue with? Do you want them to try to balance? Or to try to,
I think if they can get that first month done, everything is going to be a lot easier after that. In that first month, it looks like to me that banks were switched.
they didn't even open 2019.
Bank accounts were combined. The biggest thing to me right now is that there possibly was PACE payments made that were not applied. So I don't think we can stop right now. I think if they can get that first month done,
They haven't
um,
even started the first month, though. They started on a current month so that we would be able to try it.
well, they got 20 and a half.
To move,
and a half
to
hours
move
do it.
forward. I don't know that,
18.
they didn't open June of 2019. But if that's what you guys want them to do, then I can certainly go back with that decision.
well, I just don't see any possibility of just dropping it where it is now. We've,
No, they're just looking at where you guys want to spend the rest of your money, or how much more money, or what you want to invest in them for.
So they're looking for guidance, which they want us to finish looking into what? So it should be the first month.
I would think it'd be the first month. Carly, you have anything on that?
What did Rath and Mayor say about it? Did anybody talk to them about it?
when I talked to them, they were kind of offended that we hired somebody else to do it.
Okay, but what did they say how they would have handled it?
No.
Okay, so, as an accountant, my suggestion would be is to, make the choice of either spending the time to open up June 2019, getting that reconciled, and I think with the letter, I did get a copy of, they're saying like 10 hours a month. And you're talking from June 19 forward is gonna be a lot of time. So either having them start and write out standard operating procedures for Anita, so that once they can get it on track to keep it there, or open up June 19 and then develop our own processes on our own. One of the two, but Rath Mayor was made aware of they had some knowledge of the issue. And
They told me the idea that if we got to the same balance, to know that it was a previous accumulation of maybe entry logs, different funds being hit within the program. It was just accumulated errors. It was just past, though. If I could get to a point where it moved forward with that same balance.
And would that happen if the procedures documented for you? Yep,
I don't know.
okay,
Are you an accountant, Carla?
I am,
I
yep,
didn't realize that.
yep,
I knew you all worked in an accounting firm.
and a public accounting firm for nonprofits and doing things like that.
I mean, they're gonna spend 10 hours a month at $100 an hour to do one reconcile. I mean, you're gonna have $18,000 worth.
Yep. And Rath and Mayor, that's what they were saying
I
with the
think we
idea.
should figure out where the money is and where it's at so we can go forward and be in a positive note and have it so Anita can do her job better than having a mess.
Well, I would agree there.
we dropped $5,000 on a dump truck that me and you didn't think that was wrong.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the first $5,000. So if it's 18,000 to fix our books, I think is more important than probably anything.
But it's not, the books, I don't think anybody was stealing all the books.
I don't think so either.
So
We just
that's
wanna
why I'm
get it
saying
so
if
it's
she
all
just
right.
started from here going forward, where there was this, it's just on how they go in and out of the checkbook is what the deal is. There has to be a set way to do it. And you can't have 5 different people back there as an auditor or whatever doing it. I mean, that's where part of the problem started.
I think that's what, was
Everybody
it
had their own way to do it.
Rath and Meyer said that the sound people were working on a training procedure for Anita to basically figure out what was wrong so that they could go on forward with it.
You probably weren't gonna find out what was wrong. You're just gonna figure out how to go forward and have it balanced, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
it needs to get straightened out.
I think so too.
Do we need to have a motion to continue with the audit by sound?
No, I
Or
would
we
think that
just
just the
FYI?
direction to know that their service should be allocated and spent on going back to that initial bank balance that was off, or procedure,
Okay,
whatever you guys want.
So have them go back to that first month and.
July 2019 was the first one that didn't balance. So
Go back, see what was wrong and see if we can fix it, and maybe everything else. They got still what,
20 hours.
yeah, they got just about 20 hours.
like I said, if they can get that first one done, I feel like the rest of them will not be that hard.
Kind of look foolish not doing it myself.
Oh, absolutely.
No, I think we need to know what.
And I think
the
if we get
procedure is.
another leg in that office, when that happens, it's next week when that happens, and dance around a little bit, I think we're gonna probably be able to finally, have time to work on these things. These are big things. You don't just sit down and have 10 hours in a day, you guys, or in a week. We're doing the basics.
okay. Item number 5, Rath and Meyer. Do you want to expand?
No,
Expand?
that was already kind of part of this.
Okay,
The auditors were here last week and we provided them what they requested, and we passed their 2019-2020 audits.
okay, we have the second and final reading of a billing procedure ordinance amendment. Doo-doo-doo.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of 9.0102.
We have a motion by Councilman Johns to approve. Do we have a second? This is just clarifying when there.
This is the first reading.
No, it's
This is the
second.
second reading. Once your water bill becomes delinquent for a certain amount of time, you'll shut the water off and it'll cost you $100 to get it turned back on, plus your,
And that wasn't
Actually-
even it. No, it was
Nope.
the deposit fee that went along with that.
The only change to the ordinance was that part that's crossed out at the end.
Technically, we can't charge a deposit
Mhm.
per law. I'll second it.
second.
Yep.
The motion by Ms. Johns, second by Mr. Fenwald. Any further discussion?
As far as how far along do you let them get delinquent?
Says 45 days there, I think. If any bills for service of the water and sewer shall remain unpaid in full after 45 days being due. In essence, it is October 1st and the payment has not been received for a bill that became due August 15th. The water supply for the lot parcel of land or premises shall be cut off and shall not be turned on again except on payment in full of delinquent charges thereof. in addition to the payment of a charge of $100 for reconnection service.
Why did I think this used to be 90 days?
Don't know. Anyway, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Well, he was thinking 90. I don't know, it's 45 days.
I thought it
Not
was
long
90
enough.
days because we had other issues with,
I mean, you don't want our guy turning off water and turning it back on constantly either.
I know I get a letter from North Prairie after like 45 days. You have 10 days to pay or we're shut it off.
here, you gotta shut it off 45. You have to go do it.
I mean, there has to be a set procedure to do this because as soon as you do it the wrong way, Anita, you're gonna get a chewing.
Well, we haven't had time to do it at this minute at all for the last couple months. So,
And then there should be clarification of some sort of, do we send out a reminder notice that, Brent, you have to pay your water bill?
How'd you know?
You're the closest, as an example.
Shit.
Not saying you're close to being shut off. Do we send out a courtesy reminder like North Prairie does and other businesses?
You're gonna have to. I mean,
Send them a
How many
nasty
people
gram after.
roughly on water bills are late more than 30 days right now. You might just be shutting water off all day long and then turning them on the next day.
we haven't ran reports in months.
What'd you say, Anita?
We haven't ran any reports for it in months.
For water bills?
No, how were we supposed to?
It's been 45 days as long as I've been aware of it.
I mean, I just,
Do you want to throw in after 45 days, give them a 10-day notice and
If
then,
you have 20 people that are late on their water bills right now, you're gonna have to go around and shut all of them off.
Yep.
And follow it by that.
Yep.
Not just for one, all 25.
Carla?
I tend to agree with Brent in the sense that when with the ordinance that was put in place before the shut-off valve became the financial responsibility of the city, excuse me, and if the city is responsible for the maintenance and replacement of those shut-off valves that aren't working, you're gonna be replacing a whole lot of shut-off valves pretty quickly if you're gonna shut off water in 45 days once that office is up and running. I think it's gonna save some of the city resources to allow it to go to 90. And it's also, I mean, we just don't simply have the money to be able to replace 30 shut-off valves in 1 year.
If you wait 90 days, you're looking at $300 per water bill.
the shut up valve cost. I don't know.
Did the city take over the curb stops?
$5,000 or $6,000, aren't they?
I thought that was the property owner.
I think we voted to switch it, didn't we?
I thought it got voted, we wanted to, I don't remember what you ended up at.
I don't
but
think it
you
ever
ended up with the
changed.
city doing it.
It was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it was supposed to go to an ordinance committee, that was gonna start with the ordinance book, and then the pandemic hit, the ordinance committee kind of went on the door.
So right now, bottom line, the property owner is responsible for their own curb stop. Is that correct? Still?
I don't remember.
I think that's right.
I think that's right.
I think that's,
Out of date, out of whack.
So I have no problem changing this to a letter be sent after 45 days and then after 90 days, probably,
I mean, 90 is a lot.
60.
after 60.
yeah, you
30
get
after that.
20 people out with $300 out of water bills, you're
I usually.
getting a lot of money involved. So,
I'm good at 60.
60 days?
Yeah.
We have
Change it to
an
60.
amendment to change this 45 days to 60 days.
Will notice be sent in 45 days? Is that what you guys are still talking about here?
They'll shut it off after 60.
No.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they need to
But
get a notice.
notice be sent in
Notice on-
45 days with shut off in 60?
We started putting door hangers or door knockers up, and the issue we was running into is we put one on Steve's door, well, Steve doesn't use his front door, he pulls his truck in his garage, and doesn't ever see his front door. And then they say, well, I didn't know, or the wind comes and blows it off, and it's down 3 blocks, and, it's, or Surrey on Sensor, I see all
So that's not really a second read.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's still second reading.
okay. This is a second reading on this?
But
Or
you can-
first reading?
Or the first, yeah. No,
Nope, it's been
This is
passed
second.
once.
It was a second reading, but if you guys change it, it's not really a second, is it?
Yep, it is. The
You have
final.
to- You have,
It's
do you
final.
want to see the
Mr.
revisions?
Schultz, what do we,
It's fine.
that's
Okay.
fine?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Motion by Jenny?
Steve
Jenny,
second.
how do you vote?
Oh, sorry, yes.
And Brent,
Yeah.
Steve?
You got to vote. Steve, he seconded.
Okay, I got them out of order. Sorry about that. Anyway, motion passed.
does it say anything on their water bill? I mean, you need to put that on their water bill now, I think, as far as, 60 days and you're done. And it
Okay,
should always be on there.
You're gonna have a lot of that.
I think that's the part of that ordinance that we changed. If you want to look back in those minutes, it was something about we're giving them 30 days to hire a contractor to fix their curb stop. Or we're gonna hire somebody for them, or something like that.
Yeah, I believe that was correct.
yeah, we can add that, can't we, Terry?
Okay, number 7 is the Second Street Northeast Farm to Market Road. Engineer's response and an ordinance reference.
This is your old business from last month about the traffic being too heavy.
About the farm equipment on Second Street.
The dispute being whether we can have agricultural equipment going down Second Street Northeast. One premise is that it's, the weight of the equipment is damaging the street. And the response is that it's a farm to market road and you cannot restrict the travel of agricultural equipment on farm to market roads. Mr. Engineer, do you have something to say?
No, we reached out to Dana Larson with Ward County. And what we got from him was several years ago, Ward County took over maintenance of Pleasant, gave maintenance of Second Street Northeast back over to the city. As such, Second Street Northeast is now a residential street instead of being a county major collector. So that's what we got from Ward County.
When I talked to Dana, he went on to say that the North Dakota roads weigh heavily toward the agricultural sector, that they basically you can pretty much drive wherever you want to with agriculture machinery. But there again, with the city, I know we can't have anhydrous going through the town and some of those other items, so he suggested that possibly we, if we deem it necessary, that we could put restrictions on weight limits. Is that what you?
Yeah, I think this is completely your call on this.
Talked to a couple of local farmers out there, and, tractors that are running on that street, they're 55 to 60,000. According to what Ward County, when they switched streets, the city was supposed to agree to take over the maintenance of that road. Plus, switch the traffic down this street, which is the town road, not that one. According to what's on these papers here.
Hmm.
So, time that that's been done. Until, the last couple of years, trucks have been kept up.
My opinion, I've talked about this before, is, I guess I was always told that that was like a farm to market considered. But what I'm reading here, that really it doesn't. That's kind of what I was always told since I've sat up here and even back when I farmed. I think there should be a through route for the farmers to go through, no matter what the farmer, who it is. I understand you guys live on that road, that's the last road paved.
Be different if the city paid for the maintenance. Residents that are paying for it. That's a big deal.
Well, you know,
This says the city was supposed to pay for the maintenance. And they aren't.
do they consider the maintenance snow removal, or they consider when it's time to
Well,
repave? You know what I mean? Do they consider that snow removal, or do they consider it when you're,
Well,
going to
the way-
repave? You know what I
the
mean?
way they do it now, doesn't the county take over the maintenance and snow removal on this street?
Nope.
I thought you said we waited.
I stop at the post office,
We used to.
not since they put the quiet zone things in there. We were not allowed to come into town.
Well, that's on the private market.
I plow the snow with it, sand.
The Sanders do come through, more of a courtesy thing.
Well,
I don't know, I think it's kind of a,
Well, the city should have thought about that before they made that requirement. That was screwed up.
I think the quiet zone is great. 'Cause we don't listen to whistles.
The cops right over there.
Yeah.
No money, the traffic over there.
I know Dana told me that there is no such thing as a farm to market road. That was a government program to pave outlying roads, like the one from Walmart out to Delax or whatever, those type of roads. But there is no such thing as a farm to market road, but it's all tied up in availability and access to the farmers. Yeah.
I do understand your point. You shouldn't be able to just jump off with a tractor, and run down every other street and everything else, you know what I mean? But I've always thought just through getting in and out of town, and I know how big the equipment is. I'm on kind of both sides of this, so. And I don't want our roads wrecked. But
Kevin?
Just so you're aware, I heard the ordinances will not cover, what we have right now, that's why we need the council to decide to do something, because weighing farm equipment and axle weights are different than what truck weights are in our ordinances, so that's something that we'll have to keep in mind.
So Blaine, you said the average farm equipment was 60,000 pounds. Is that what you said? And then how many axles is that? How many axles was that? How many axles? Mm.
They're way differently than what's
Okay.
Yeah,
they're
that-
spread out. And they got
So I believe through our town, the coming down County Road and then down Pleasant is 7 tons per axle, and then every other street in town is 5 tons per axle. Is that correct?
Sounds right.
Minus a service vehicle.
I think it's 80,000.
That's what the ordinance says for Second Street. You guys have an ordinance for Second Street itself.
What's that ordinance say?
It's included here. 10.2006
Last paragraph. yeah.
or 10 dash.
Carla, wait a minute.
My first question is that 10.2005 specifically states, other than those specifically exempted vehicles, is agricultural equipment specifically exempted from the weight limit in the state of North Dakota?
I doubt it.
Well, it either is or it isn't. Is it not mentioned, or is it specifically, what is specifically exempted in our ordinance?
You ever seen an air seeder get pulled over and weighed? I haven't.
That's my first question. So unless you can define what specifically exempted is, I think you're gonna have a hard time including agricultural equipment if it's not, if you can't define what specifically exempted.
It's kind of,
The only way,
And then my second question is,
the only
is
state.
ask Joey what the weight limit
Equipment
is.
is on
what the
state
weight-
highways and county roads.
This is,
You don't see it on city
this
streets.
is in our ordinance.
Something in the ordinance that's almost
This paragraph is in the ordinance, and then to ask what the weight is.
this
we
for
can't have the
package.
argument in the audience, Chuck.
No.
Yep. All right, Mr. Wall, did you care to comment?
You're going from where you was coming. Well, you don't see farmers and Larson's, they got other options, their yard is on the edge of town.
That's enough.
So I think this might be a good thing to also refer to a committee. I see a bunch of people actually in the audience that have to pay the special assessment for that street. I'm with Brent. I can see both sides of it, but I don't have to pay the special assessment for that road. So if it was me, I'd also be concerned. Luann. They shouldn't be, I guess. I guess my recommendation would be to refer this to planning and zoning, have them do some kind of public hearing on it. Make sure everybody involved who pays a special assessment is notified of that meeting. This is exactly what should be taking place at a public hearing.
Right.
You wanna start paying assessments?
I would recommend,
It's not a good answer on either side of it.
No, but, okay,
Way
so,
either way, it's just like-
so you come off of County Road 12 and you go north, and then you go down 4th Street. I mean, are you gonna have people angry with you? They're gonna go right by he's gonna go right by your house then. I mean, how would you feel about that? I'm just trying to see their side of it. I don't have to pay their assessment. I would not like to see it myself. So I'm fully for looking into this ordinance.
I guess myself, I'd like to table this until we can have a committee and a public hearing on it rather than disputing it here at this meeting.
You have to make a motion to refer it to a committee.
I'll make a motion to refer the 2nd Street Northeast. I don't know if it would be weight limitations or if it would be vehicle specifications. Issue. I make a motion to refer the 2nd Street Northeast issue to a committee.
I second.
We have a second by Brent. Any further discussion?
I should bring up in the last few years too, that NDP buses pick up this full of from farm equipment, kids, 25, and that railroad stand. Not
Okay. Um, Vote anyway. Jenny, how do you vote?
Yes.
Brent, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve, how do you vote?
Sure, why not?
Yes. It's been referred to committee. We'll have to arrange to get a committee involved.
Do we have to make a motion to make a committee for that?
And if the mayor appoints, yep.
Unless it's going to be sent to planning and zoning.
Are they gonna do the public hearing and all that?
They normally would.
They could do that.
Send it over?
Yeah. We'll send it to planning and zoning then. Kim will be happy.
Okay.
Okay,
so-
clerk in office status.
I don't know if this was me, but I did have some additions that would fall under this category. First, I want to apologize to Terry because I believe that she was willing to go full-time, 36 hours minimum per week to acquire the benefits of a city employee. So I would definitely like to make a motion to make Terry full-time and give her evaluation rate as soon as possible. Or prorated back to June 1st.
You still want full-time hours, Terry?
I was thinking about that, my parents' health has changed, so I'm wondering, since I have one disabled parent and another who got injured
Okay.
fairly badly.
You want to think about it for a month?
Yeah, I mean, especially with us getting, another employee and who's gonna report, I imagine.
She wants 36 hours, yep.
The 36 or 32.
Maybe I wouldn't have as much weight on that. I think I would have in 3 months.
Okay. No, it's completely up to you. I just know we talked about health insurance. Okay.
For now, I think. Try that.
Well, then I'll rescind that motion and make a motion to give Terry her evaluation rate early. I believe it was an extra 50 cents an hour. Prorated back to June 1st.
We have a motion to give Terry her evaluation. Second by Brent. Is that right?
Yes.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Jennifer,
Yes.
Councilman Dickinson,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell.
Yes.
Public Works report.
I just had one more thing. I'm so sorry.
Whoop, sorry.
And then also, I wanted to thank both Anita and Terry for stepping up to the plate in the last couple months. So the last thing on my list here would be to also give Anita a raise. I would love to discuss it. I don't really have she makes $22.48 an hour right now, I believe, or $22.50. But I believe that she has earned a raise. So I guess I would make a motion to give Anita a raise to $24 an hour. Start prorated back to June 1st.
I second that.
We have a motion to give Anita a raise to $24 an hour, and we have a second by Brent. Any further discussion?
When they hired you, did they give you a raise at that time or no?
When they hired the other person?
Well, then we hire you.
Oh, when you hired me, I
When Diane
received
left.
I I've
Was there
received a
anything
48 cent
happened
That's what
raise.
I'm asking. I don't know if we
I've
gave her.
received 48 cents in the last year and a half I've been here,
When
which
Diane
is
left,
great, but in the circumstances that have transpired in the last 2 months, some people will throw their arms up, I know. We've been working our tail off. Terry's awesome.
So that answer is no. You didn't get
when
it.
Diane left, did you receive a raise for taking over her
No.
job?
No, this would be it.
She had.
We
So-
gave AJ one not too long ago, wasn't that 75 cents?
I think Anita just got the cost of living raise that everybody got at the
Right.
beginning of this year.
At the beginning of the year, I got a, 48 cent raise.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to give Anita $24 an hour. We have a second by Brent. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Jennifer,
Yes.
Brent,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Okay, Public Works. Can we just read your dissertation?
First off, I want to say thank you guys for this month, well, this meeting, not adding a bunch to our already overflowing plates.
We ain't done
Because the
yet.
last couple months have been just hectic for Anita, Terry, me and John. So you get an attaboy for that. How many years has this sidewalk project been going on to get done, that's being done now?
3 or 4 at least.
Okay,
I would say it started planning in fall of October of 2018.
okay. Well, in that time, not that I want to spend any more money than what I already have, but in that time, nobody has brought up the fact that when we plow snow, that there's a section of sidewalk that should be 6 inches thick minimum instead of 4 inches thick. And John and I kicked that around the other day, talked it over with the engineer. I emailed the head engineer of the project. He gave me a quote for $1,105 to add an extra 2 inches of concrete right before the tracks down here between Robert Alm and the KO sub or the railroad tracks, where we actually plow snow off into that ditch. I think we should up that from 4 to 6 inches, just so we don't break the sidewalk.
Going across it when you go up.
Yep.
You're gonna have to push out all the way if there's much snow, no matter where you're at.
Yep.
Finish your report and then we'll come back to that.
Okay. I know the dumpsters were a hot topic last year. This is the first week of June and we're at 31 out of 52 dumps for the year. Between the 2 grass dumpsters and just the 1 dumpster back here. That's not including the metal dumpster because that's a completely separate entity. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. In the process of changing the fire hydrant at the school, we finally got that done the other day. We have a gate valve by the parking lot between the parking lot for the school and the water tower that is now leaking. So we're gonna watch it for a week or so. It's not bad, but if it continues to leak, I'm gonna have to replace that valve. Just to put that in the back of your mind. And with the drought conditions that we have, I really think now would be the time to try to get that line fixed between Lagoon Cell 2 and Lagoon Cell 3 that I brought up last year. I don't know if you want me to talk to Kelsey, see what he would charge to come out, redo the line, redo the valve, and maybe take it to the Prairie Dog Committee funding about trying to get that done.
That would be a perfect thing for the Prairie Dog Fund. However, like, aren't the cost of materials, they have skyrocketed
Everything's
times
skyrocketed.
400% is what I heard.
Yep. It's a catch-22.
Right, but what I'm saying is with no snow and no rain, is it are we gonna get a tsunami coming through here and are we gonna need
I
it
hope
this
not.
year? Right,
This year, no, but I have a bad suspicion that this winter is gonna be really bad for snow,
I hope
either
it is.
this winter or next spring. And then that's all I have of new stuff. I mean, I gave Anita the report of everything that we got done in the last month, and we have been extremely busy, and it's only gonna get worse in the next 2 months with the sidewalk.
What do you guys gotta do on the sidewalk project?
Somebody's gotta be there to just kinda watch, and if they have any issues, like tomorrow when they do the hydrant, I'm gonna be on site the whole time they're digging, backfilling. I think they're backfilling Wednesday.
And they're paving at Silver Spring too, right?
And I don't know what's going on in Silver Springs. They were gonna pave, and then North Prairie come in and said that they can't pave because the water line's not deep enough. Jason Strand found an as-built where there's insulation over the water line. I've never heard when they're gonna start paving, but they're supposed to pave from where they stopped to like 30 feet past the curb and gutter that's already up there. And then they're gonna curb and gutter the other 2 streets, Oxford and Regent. That was actually supposed to be done the middle of last month. And then it got shut down, and I haven't heard anything from anybody on when that's taking effect now.
With that lagoon stuff, maybe you could reach out to Kelsey and Keith both, just for advice, kind of whatever you need and whatever, put it together,
I know I can't run the jetter through the line at all.
but you know what I mean?
And the other end of the line, I can't find it all. I even made a longer probe and went out there with hip waders trying to find the end of the line.
Well, maybe put something together and bring it back next month and tell us what you need and want.
Yeah, you have on your list here, turn the water on at the RV park. That water's not turned on now.
The water is on.
It's not. in the
It's been
faucet.
on.
Well, it's not in the faucet. Yeah. Yeah, the shower doesn't work in the,
Okay, well, this is the first I've heard is just tonight that wasn't on because we turned it on.
They turned it off, Jeff.
Where is it leaking?
In the sink,
In the sink? It's not underground or nothing.
inside the concession building.
So the line is turned on.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
so no big deal, AJ.
We want to go back, do we want to visit the, do we want to look at the $1,100 to add an extra 2 inches of concrete at the sidewalk?
How many feet is that then? What are you talking?
I believe I measured 60 feet. No, the north side, when we plow, we stop at the tracks and we shove off to the side. Same with here. Shove off to the side before the tracks, pick up, go over the tracks, start plowing again. So the north side of this set of tracks is fine. It's the south side toward Robert Alms. There's, I think I measured out 60 feet would give us more than enough room in the event, because I try to plan for Snowmageddon.
They're gonna have to put a lot of fill in there,
That's already in the report, and
you know. So that's not necessarily gonna be firm ground anyway.
This is down here on Pleasant.
You'd put that on the north side of the tracks or the south, or the east or west?
it'll be the west side of Pleasant, south side of the tracks. Where there's that little spot that we mowed, because on the north side of the tracks, it goes right into that first house, and there's no issue there.
Be the east side of the Pleasant Avenue, wouldn't it?
Yes.
That side.
Did I say west?
Yeah.
It'll be the east, because
East
the west side is, there's gonna be no sidewalk, so I have no worries there.
Right, right. What's the council's feeling on spending another $1,100 to add the concrete?
You got a quote for that then?
It's $1,105 and a few cents.
Or where's that?
It's through Strata.
Oh, through Strata. Oh, they're already there.
And that's just because you're gonna be on that with
With the payloader.
the payload.
You're gonna be on the whole thing.
So it
I
goes
hope
safe
not.
route and then you want to extend
You're
it?
gonna cross it, you mean?
You want to
You
take
push
in the
off,
concrete of that.
cross it.
Yeah.
Why isn't that in our bid or in the? So in the proposal, in the initial proposal, it went from 6 inches down to 4
No.
inches?
Then how is it? The majority of the sidewalk is 4 inches, but at driveways, it's 6 inches for vehicle traffic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And just for 65 feet, I want to put, or would like to put 6 inches in instead of the 4 inches that was initially in the design.
So you can push snow.
That makes more sense.
Hopefully without damaging the
That's
sidewalk,
what I wrote.
is what I'm trying to get at.
Will it have time to cure before the snow?
I hope.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I don't
Do
know
we
the
have a
answer.
motion to approve spending $1,105.02
Sure, I'll make a motion
for extra concrete?
to add $1,100. to
And
the-
that might be able to come out of prairie dog funds because that's considered infrastructure. I don't know.
I'll second it.
We have a-
$1,100, I think.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Steve?
Yep.
Jenny?
Yes.
And Brent?
Yes.
Okay.
I just have 2 more things to add really quick. So sorry. That part-time position, I loved Chris's presentation and I think we're going to be able to do something there in my opinion. But I just would also like to see you guys have some kind of high school kid to do weed whacking and the like at the lagoon and the around pools along Pleasant, to clean up the sign coming into town, to water the beautiful flower pots that we now have. Did you get any high school or teenage applications?
I believe there was one.
There's one, yep.
In all honesty, since you and I talked the day you were mowing for me, I have just been 90 to nothing.
There's been quite a few applications, just kind of waiting for answer on when you guys are gonna meet again.
And that's,
Well, we have one. We have 15 applicants that want to work. We have one high school
One
kid.
high school kid, the rest are.
Mhm.
but I asked Anita what we were doing for a hiring committee and she sent an email out and nobody's responded and when,
I thought this was gonna be done by you guys a long time.
Never got a response.
I mean, summer's gonna be over. We do need someone doing this stuff, so.
I can volunteer and I mean, I know everybody's busy. I can volunteer and like interview somebody and or a couple people make a recommendation. I mean, it's what I used to help out with. So I think I would know exactly what they would be doing
And-
and
I don't mind coming in for interviews also, because obviously they'll be underneath John and I. It's just, I've been trying to limit what overtime we've been getting. And like this last, since you and I talked, we've had some overtime hours.
You have time to do this?
I mean, yeah, I'll sit, absolutely. We can get something set
Well,
up
then I would
even,
suggest if you have time to do it, if you want to look at, pick out 5 or 6 applicants and hire somebody. I don't think it has to go to a committee and the council, just do it.
Just hire someone.
It's a
I just-
part-time deal.
I was hoping to hire someone in town, just so it promoted our town, whatever. Go ahead, do it, Jake. So it gets done.
do you have time to pick out top 3 tomorrow
We
morning?
already have them picked out.
They've been
Perfect.
I
picked
just
out.
didn't know that that was the process. I mean, I could have called them too. I just need a response.
Send it to me. I have Wednesday,
Just like
after
we need to
Wednesday off,
know,
so.
we're gonna hire them at this rate for this many hours. Nobody's ever discussed that in any meeting. Cause it's always been hiring committee or job opening, hiring committee, then interviews, then.
Can you guys
special
just give me a
meeting.
maximum wage per hour?
What do you
15
guys
bucks, I don't
pay?
know.
Steve, you guys What do you guys paying Gary, for an example?
Gary gets 12. Colin and Gary both. do.
12.
12?
That's the maximum.
Whatever happened to minimum wage,
Get minimum
For
workers.
entry level?
And then the other thing,
So interview and
I already
hire
got
at
a
12.
job that pays less than
Yep.
minimum.
So you guys are, yeah, looking
You want a motion on that or
at.
anything?
No, I just, yeah. Making sure I'm hearing you clearly.
Just do it.
and then is there a plan for watering the new flower pots? Do we need to get people to volunteer? Are you guys able to do it at least one morning a week?
We
What-
can do it whenever. Nobody's ever, I've got a 15 gallon tank sprayer just for doing the flowers, brand new, so it's never had any chemical in. We helped set up the flower baskets, we hung the brackets, we hung the baskets, and then I haven't seen anything other than Chuck and Connie watering since.
Takes 30 gallons of water to do the baskets and then another 30 to do the barrels.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I have no qualms, you know, if you want to split it, you do it once, we do it once, whatever.
I think we could-
We need to know when to do it, how much fertilizer to put in, you know. We've just been so busy, we haven't got together to do anything.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
that can be their main, but I think we need a bigger tank than 15 gallons. Do you still have the receipt for that? And can you take it back, exchange it?
The reason I went with the 15, because it was $50 versus $350 for a 60 gallon or 40 gallon, whatever.
I'll try to do some research on that.
I've got the old sprayer from the park. That's a 30 gallon. If I can triple wash it, it should be all right. Wash it with ammonia and stuff. That should be all right to
Okay.
to
Just so
water
long
with,
as
but I'm not sure
one
if the
that-
pump
I'm not
works.
the one that's gonna take responsibility if the
Oh, yeah.
flowers die. I want that on record.
That's, them darn petunias are expensive. Okay, first reading ordinance amendments. This sheet.
And these are just zoning amendments that they worked on throughout the winter. Chapter 7.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of zoning ordinance amendments 12.0202, 7.0201, 7.0901, and 12.1202.
We have a motion to approve the ordinance amendments in number one. Do we have a second? We have a second by Brent. Further discussion?
Just one little thing. I think Kimberly Shaw, who has been on planning and zoning for like 22 years and worked in the city office for close to 7, will have the qualifications. And I believe she has considered doing this or like is able and wanting to do this to approve some of our building permits, fences, decks, and sheds. And then only new house or new construction would have to go through Ward County. So I believe that's going to save some money too.
Awesome.
That's all.
Okay, we have a motion by Jenny, second by Brent. Jennifer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Brent,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
motion passes. Steve, where's Steve? Devil's Fire. Did he go home?
He's probably not.
We have the liquor license for Devil's Fire.
Did you get one for the Big Dog Saloon?
No, I did mention it to them on Friday. I called both of these establishments on Friday because they're due June 1st. And Devil's Fire was in took care of theirs, but the big dog hasn't, I haven't seen him yet. Oh, June 1st.
The 7th.
I don't know, and I don't know how they do it in Velva, but I guess we took all of our liquor license applications to the city council. I don't know if you guys need to, do anything but look at it, or if you need to, if you want to approve it. I'm not sure what the process is here, that's why it's brought to your attention.
Yep, normally there's a copy of the liquor license in the packet.
Yeah, I had it, sorry.
No, that's okay. But I mean, a special meeting is going to have to be called for the
Yeah.
Big Dog Saloon, if that's what I mean.
Kevin, you got anything on that?
Getting past the alternate application.
But I mean, we have to have this to the, or back to them so they can have it. Don't they have to get this
They
ran
have
through
to
the Attorney
just-
General's office?
They have to have a certified, license, you know, at their establishment. If their inspector comes, they have to show proof that they're licensed through the city.
But per our ordinance, it's June 30th is the deadline?
I'm not exactly,
it's June
I
30th.
was under the understanding it's June 1st.
I believe
think
it's,
a 6-month deal. I think it's January to June.
but I mean, that makes us have to call a special meeting just for that
That
purpose.
doesn't make sense. They didn't turn it in, because I'm pretty sure they don't plan on closing the doors.
Wouldn't
tomorrow.
think so either, but yeah, it does this.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the liquor license submitted by Devil's Fire and Brew.
Motion is second. Any more discussion? Jennifer,
Yes.
Brent,
Yes.
Steve.
Yep. Can you ask them what they're
You wanna
planning
check
on
that
doing? I mean, I would
ordinance, if
assume
there
so
is an
too, but yeah, they have to have it into us and approved by. Yeah.
The annual conference,
By June 1st. I don't know if Surrey is June 30th.
I'll make a phone call after we leave here.
And then
Tell them
it's,
to
so,
come in and take care of it. Figure out what to do.
Yeah, I'm sure they want it, but it has to be approved.
it has to be approved.
But you can't approve something if it's not.
Correct.
Right.
well, 6 months would be 1st of July.
Is it June 30th? Okay, gosh, I don't know. It's something June 1st.
So we should be good.
But it becomes a special meeting.
So we would be good to approve it at July's meeting?
No.
No.
Nope. Has to be
So
before.
it has to be in for the June meeting here. And I did, I talked to him, I called Rosie and I talked to both Keith and Rosie on Friday.
We approve it if they pay.
Well, they need to.
They need to show us an application and, yeah.
Okay. So we gotta have another meeting to approve it.
I think they have to pay for that meeting, I would assume. It's all special meeting, you're supposed to pay for.
Yeah. we got lots of money.
I don't think we've ever done that here lately, but.
No.
Is that
Annual
when you're-
conference, city staff at the Vatican. Vacation, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, annual conference, does anybody wanna go? I do, and Terry does. Can we go?
Yes. All in favor?
No, and that's fine, I just wanted to throw that out there. I wanted you guys to see my, city staff, which is awesome, get to go and be with like people. And then vacation, I'm just gonna announce that I've had a vacation planned since the day I started here. COVID kind of wrecked plans, but the reason why I'm announcing it is because it's actually over the election. I will be gone the day that you guys have your special election, July 21st. And everything's being handled at the county, so it should be not a big deal. I just want to make you aware that, we'll have to try to make sure we're prepared for a canvassing meeting, whatever's needed afterwards in the absence.
Okay, executive session. Do you have the documents,
Wait a
ma'am?
minute, sorry, I got one more thing.
Uh-oh.
about it now or within the next piece? This is a benefit thing. Our Aflac bill came. I didn't have the deduction because our employee was no longer with us. So the city paid the bill because it was due. Just kind of letting you know that we're invoicing for that amount that was paid. If that all makes sense.
You paid the premium for the Aflac
Yep.
even after Diane was gone. So do we want to bill her for that
It was billed
fund or forget it?
How much was it?
$44. It was a bill due to the city. It was paid.
Is that monthly or quarterly or? Anita, is
What's that?
that monthly or quarterly or
That was just a portion of May's. Yeah, that was May's
just for May?
premium, but we
month.
didn't have the withholding, so the bill was paid in any case because it was billed to us. Just stating that I'm gonna send an invoice to ask for reimbursement on that.
It's just for the 1 month and then after
Yep.
that, it's taken care of it.
Yep.
Okay, this is just FYI.
Yes.
Yep, okay. Now executive session. You have the documents, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
What is executive session for what?
For the attorney consultation.
Where is that at?
You got one when you walked in today.
Even the one I walked in on doesn't have it. Right here. I guess that's the one. I didn't get that. I got that from.
AJ's copy, sorry. And you didn't give me to have time to make you a new copy.
So when did this come out?
This afternoon.
This came out this morning.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is attorney consultation regarding attorney consultation for correspondence with the Wilkie Law Firm pursuing to North Dakota Century Code 440419.1 subparagraph 2. This item must be discussed in executive session. The legal authority for closing this portion of the meeting is Century Code 440419.2 paragraph 2.1 paragraph 2. The topic of this executive session is attorney consultation, Wilkie Law Firm correspondence. At this time, a motion would be in order to discuss the next topic in executive session rather than in an open meeting. Is there such a motion?
Make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
What's it about? Who's this Wilking Law Firm?
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to special meeting.
Well, I want to know what it is so I know who to vote for.
It's
Well,
right.
open the page 2 or 3. Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Jennifer?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Steve?
No, I guess I would have liked to have had some time to look at what she's wanting.
Motion carried. The executive session will be recorded and all members of the government body are reminded to limit their discussion during the executive session to the announced topic. Any collective decision, collective comment, or other final action by the governing body must occur after it reconvenes in an open meeting. Unless final action is specifically required by law to be taken during the executive session, the prohibition on taking final action during the executive session does not apply to providing guidance or instructions to our attorney. We now ask the members of the public who are attending the meeting to leave the room. And immediately after adjourning the executive session, we will reconvene the open portion of the meeting. The minutes will show the executive session began at 9:04.
While the answer should be given the chance to call in for executive session, I believe you should consider that. Oh, you're in, time to go.